Good evening, everyone. To all the learners from Emeritus and Eruditus. We are here again for our guest lecture series Career Services. I'm Sugandha and I will be moderating this session. If you have during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box and I'll bring them up at the end of. Now, our guest for today is a life and business coach and the founder of I Say Organic, Mr. Ashmeet Kapoor. Ashmeet is an entrepreneur turned coach, helping change makers and meaning seekers embrace and be guided by their highest intentions while also learning to live lightheartedly and with resilience. From his own journey of running a social enterprise for a decade in India, which is I Say Organic, and growing through multiple crises, he realized that pursuing something he felt passionate about wasn't enough, and when it came to feeling unfulfilled or happy. His biggest learning was to unlearn, to shed all concepts of how he, others, or things ought to be and connected instead with what he truly wanted, and to be learned to trust that. At the coach is to facilitate this self-awareness for others to help them release in the way of them living fully and authentically. On his personal journey to cultivating more consciousness, meaning, and play in his life every day. Some of the things and topics he most loves are mindfulness, plant-based food, nature and mountains, spirituality, planet-friendly technologies, entrepreneur well-being, and conscientionships. Please join me in welcoming our guest, Mr. Ashmeet Kapoor. The topic for today is well-being and while doing impactful work. Mr. Kapoor, welcome, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sugandha. It's a pleasure to be here. And I look forward to interacting with many people. There's over 60 people on the webinar, and I look forward to having some good interactions today. So Sugandha reached out to me very recently, and we just had some exchanges on LinkedIn, really. And she said, what's a topic that you would like to talk about? And the topic for today is what's closest to my heart, especially when I talk to entrepreneurs or anyone really who's trying to pursue a sense of meaning and purpose, or finding meaning and doing work which they really believe in. I've had that journey on my own. From the very beginning, I've always sought a sense of meaning in everything that I did. And that's what led me to start my first company, which is I Say Organic. It's an organic food business based in India. And I started it after a year of applying myself to the agriculture scene in India and really from the ground up understanding or making my own hypothesis on what was needed to make farming profitable for farmers, more environmentally sustainable, and also make these products which are good for the earth, good for the farmers, and good for society, easily available to consumers. I farmed for a year in a remote village in eastern UP. Started the company with a lot of passion. I moved back to India from the US, where I was previously, to start this business. And the reason I'm sharing that is just to make this point that I really believed in the work that I was starting to do. And I really believed in the good that this company, if it was successful, the meaning and the good it could create in the world. And what I learned, I still really believe in the mission of the company and eating well and growing food sustainably and responsible consumption, sustainable production, all of that. But parallelly, what I also realized is that just pursuing something which I felt very passionate about, which there was a lot of meaning in, was not enough when it came to actually feeling content, feeling happy. So starting the company, I think somewhere I had this idea that to be happy and content in life, if you find this one purpose and meaning that you really believe in, then you've solved it, you've solved life, and that's it. And what I realized soon after starting the company that's not true. And it wasn't like I was sitting consciously and having this realization. I think this was building up in me internally. And a few years into running the company, I think it started or it played a big role in a lot of discontent that I was feeling, a lot of frustration, even a lot of anger when it came to just managing myself and seeing what my vision is and what my goals are and where we actually are. And a lot of confusion. Like, why am I still not happy? What's still missing? I have a good life, I have a comfortable life, I have a lot of privilege, I should be grateful. I'm doing work I really believe in, but still, that's not enough. And this is stuff I can say now when I reflect back on it. But in that moment, it was just confusing. It was very difficult to look at the work other people were doing in this space, or even just really in the startup space, and see that, oh, hey, look at this one company based in Israel or based in San Francisco, and look what they're doing with organic food, and look what I'm doing. And I want to be there, but this is where I am. And this constant battle between my goals and where I was, what I wanted to be doing in my day-to-day as a leader versus what I was actually doing, was such a big gap. And managing that was very, very challenging, very demotivating. And now as I reflect back on this, I think the problem was that I was not listening to myself. Right? The problem was that I was still chasing an idea and a story of success. For not any fault of my own, but I was conditioned to believe that this is what life is all about in terms of success. And yes, somewhere I was listening to myself that do work which you believe in. Add some value to this world, to this planet. But parallelly, my sense of worth was actually tied to achievement and what I was achieving. And it's not like I didn't achieve anything. My company is still a leading name for organic food when it comes to the Delhi NCR market. We're very well regarded, very well trusted. We have thousands of customers. Are we filing for an IPO? We're not. But somewhere, I guess that's what my conditioning was, that success as an entrepreneur would mean to get your company to a point where, I don't know, it's worth billions. And the listening to myself that I'm saying is, but what do I want? Right? So this is everything that externally people say. Even I believe this is what success is. But do I actually want that? And before that, I would even say, do I have the courage to ask myself that? Do I have the courage to say, what do I want? If no one was in my way, if no one had any expectations of me, if I forgot about responsibility for a minute, just for a minute, what is it that I want? And it took me many years to answer that question. It took me many years to even ask that question. In the end, I'd say frustration, stress, anger, all of these things, that I'm not alone, right? We all as humans feel it. When I say anger and frustration, you know what I'm talking about because you know what that is, because you felt it. And all of these things were actually present because there was something in me saying, Ashmeet, there's something you need to listen to. It's just an invitation to inquiry. So it took me 5 or 6 years. Like, okay, what is behind my discontent? And how did I get there? I can't tell you what was stopping me from asking the first time I felt the discontent. But it was fear, right? If I listen to my discontent, maybe I'll decide not to do this anymore. And that's a scary thought. Oh my God, that's just the opposite of everything that I believe success to be. I'll be a failure. So this is not happening consciously, but I can't go there. I'm not going to entertain those voices in my head that are telling me that, Ashmeet, really, is this what you want to do? And why am I talking about this? Because I think This is what personal well-being is. Listening to yourself, paying attention. In the end, we are human beings, right? We are not superhumans. We are humans. We are regular human beings. And what is a human? A human is a system or a very complex system of different needs, and these needs are often at war with each other, or they're in contradiction of each other. I have a need for love. I also have a need for power. So that's what I mean. I have both these needs, and sometimes these are in opposition. So, am I paying attention to my needs right now? That's my first question to you all today. Am I following a script? Am I just believing in what I have seen around me, what I have been taught? And I'm not saying that we need to just abandon everything we've been taught. I'm not saying abandon society. But am I willing to question what is in sync with what I need and what's it not? And I'm sure just this simple question that I'm asking is already triggering some realizations in people. Because actually we know, right? We know where we're ignoring ourselves. And this happens at very big level, macro level things in our lives. And it also happens at very small levels, very, very small instances in our lives. Let's look at an example. So I have 5 urgent emails to reply to. There's resistance in me in this moment. It says, I just want to go out for a coffee. I don't want to look at these emails. This person can wait for a day. Typically, at least old Ashmeet, I'd say, would not really entertain that voice which says, go get a coffee, do this later. It doesn't matter, this person can wait. It seems urgent to you, but actually it's not so urgent. And because I really believe in being a certain kind of person, right? I have this image of myself that I am someone who is very prompt, very organized, doesn't keep people waiting, so I will do this. Because only when I live up to that image am I able to respect myself. So typically I don't even listen to this other part of me, which is saying that, hey, take it easy, man, just chill out. They can wait. But what if I listened? What if I said, okay, there's this voice also. And it's not about making the decision. I'm not saying listening to that voice means that I'm suddenly going to leave my emails, shut my laptop down, take the day off and just go do nothing. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying, listen, what happens when I say, okay, a part of me doesn't want to do this right now. A part of me wants to take a nap right now. I am tired right now. And that's okay. The next question I'd ask is why we're all pretty hard on ourselves, right? Let's just accept that. That's just how we are. What's behind that? What do I really want? I spend my whole day being quite tough on myself, judging myself, judging what I did, judging what I said, what I didn't or didn't achieve. What's behind that? What am I really looking for? And even behind that, okay, so I am wanting to reply to all these people in the next 30 minutes. What am I looking for? Actually, I'm looking to just feel relaxed. This is what's on my list of things to do, creating some stress and tension for me. I just want to feel relaxed. Okay. So feeling relaxed is important to me. In another case, I want to feel a sense of respect. Look at this guy, so well organized. So what's behind my always wanting to be really organized? Because I want to feel respect. And this will be different for everyone. Not everyone will feel respect out of this, but I do. I am able to really respect myself, and I see that Ashmeet is very organized. Doesn't let anything pile up. Okay. Now, behind that, when I get respect from myself, I get respect from others. What's there? Why is that important to me? So let's try this. I think you all have access to chat. And I'm sure everyone likes respect. But behind respect, would anyone just write in the comments, in the chat section, what is behind that? So by getting respect, what are you actually looking for? Very good. Acceptance, attention, gratification, value for yourself, love and admiration, confidence, feel great about yourself, feel powerful, pride, self-worth. Yes. So in the end, what I've realized, and I haven't found all the answers, right? I think, but so far what I've found is it's all about just telling myself and feeling in myself that I am enough. Self-worth, self-love, contentment. And this is an exercise I often do with my coaching clients. Is I am living my life actually believing this lie that I am not enough. So my acceptance of myself is actually quite conditional. But if I ask you to imagine that whatever is going on in your life right now, like wherever you are, whatever shitty situation you might be in, however you might be underperforming, under-delivering, or wherever you're not good enough according to you, if you really imagine that now this is not your story, this is something you're watching in a movie, and let your favorite actor or actress play your part. Okay. So actually take a moment and imagine whoever your favorite actor or actress is. Imagine them in this mess. You know, we all have something or the other messy in our lives. So, and we're hard on ourselves. So now imagine this favorite actor of yours really perfectly playing out this character in this mess in a movie. And how do you feel toward that person, right? If you're watching this movie, or if your best friend is in that situation, or someone you really love is in that situation, how do you feel towards that character, that person? And I find it a little hard to do this exercise when I'm not able to see other people on the other side. So this will end up being more of a mental exercise, at least for now. But typically, or not typically, 100% of the times I've done this exercise, the answer is I feel a lot of compassion. Yeah, we feel bad. We feel for them. The thing is, when it comes to ourselves, we don't feel like that toward ourselves. So for anyone else who is going through what we're going through, we have lots of compassion. But we are the only ones, really, where we deny that. And I think that comes again from a lie we've been told. For no one's fault, no one's wrong, no one has any bad agendas here to perpetuate these lies. But the lie is that if you're not too hard on yourself, you will slack off. You'll be a loser. I see it in myself. I see sometimes that, oh my God, if I really lean into this part of me that wants to take a break right now, then I'll just end up doing nothing. And as I said, I haven't figured everything out, right? But my answer or the way forward that I see right now is what if I can lean into that part for 30 seconds? I'm not saying I'm deciding to not do anything today. I'm saying I'm leaning into this part of me that doesn't want to sit on my emails right now. For 30 seconds. What if for 30 seconds, I allow it to be there? And feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A section as we go. And what I have found, going back to what we were saying, often the answer and the way forward just comes up. So something melts away when I give space. Something melts away. But it takes practice. And maybe what I'm saying is making sense. Maybe it's not making sense. The idea is not to convince anyone. The idea is just to awaken some curiosity. Like, could I try this? These things are best learned through experience. You can read a million books, listen to lots of podcasts. In the end, what am I seeing inside me? What is coming up in my own practice? And what is practice? Living life is practice. So connecting it all to this topic of personal well-being is I am one person and I can't be well if everything in that person is not honored. Including the fear of leaning in. So yes, there is this fear in me. I will wreck my life if I lean into all the voices in my head. But also, yes, there are these voices in my head. Many voices in my head. But I am not my voices and I am not my thoughts. It's okay to have all sorts of thoughts. Sometimes when someone is really bothering me or being very irritating, like a part of me maybe wants to slap this person. Right? It doesn't mean I'm getting up and slapping them. But there is maybe that part in me. When I get angry, a part of me wants to do it. And is it okay? Being okay is not saying that go do it. When I feel really angry at someone, say my work colleague, who's just constantly doing the task wrong, I have explained it to this person 5 times already. Because of this person, I am being made to look bad. I feel so frustrated, so angry. It's not like if I really lean into my anger fully, it's not like by not leaning into my anger is going anywhere. My anger is still there. So what if I actually tell my anger that, hey, it's okay. I allow myself to feel this anger. It's a very famous quote by Viktor Frankl. And if you haven't, I highly recommend his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And I don't have the quote exactly memorized, but it goes something like, between stimulus and response, there's a gap. And in that gap lies our freedom. And now this is me adding to it. And how much can I practice cultivating that gap in my life? So stimulus, what is stimulus? I see this email sent to my most important client with the wrong attachment. Response, what is my automatic response? My automatic response is pick up the phone, call this person, start yelling, or whatever it is. So my instant response might be to just like shut everything down and just go in a corner and sulk, yell. I don't know. Different people, different responses. And what is cultivating the gap? Okay, this has happened. One element I would say is not fighting reality. So, okay, this has happened now. Part of me, something is coming up in me, this urge to just call and completely thrash this person who's done this. What an idiot. The gap is just being in that gap, even for 10 seconds. With curiosity, what is curiosity? Can I allow myself to have any experience that is coming up right now? Can I really just be curious that, this is what's happening in me right now? So what's behind my urge to call and yell is this rising sense of anger, and maybe there's something behind that anger. Maybe actually there's a lot of fear behind that anger. I'm going to lose this client. And what's behind that fear? Maybe there's an honest, genuine wish behind that fear. And this example is bringing up this point in me that in such a situation, if I go to another person with my reaction, typically, I'm not going to get something which is desirable for me as an outcome. By doing this, by being in that gap with curiosity, listening to my experience, I'm like, okay, I'm getting angry. Actually, I'm quite insecure. I have a lot of fear that we lose this client. Behind that fear could be many things. In the example I'm thinking right now, behind that fear could be this wish that I really want to have a profitable company this year. Now, this is all very obvious, right? But in that moment, that fear and that urge to yell is coming up. We're not necessarily connecting those dots. And now, what is it like to go to the person on the other side, not with the reaction, but with this? Like, hi, I have been seeing that of late, there's a lot of these mistakes happening, which I think are very avoidable mistakes. And that is making me extremely insecure because I have this goal and this is threatening our relationships with our clients. And I'm very, very insecure. I'm living in fear that we will not be able to turn a profit this year. I need your help. What's that versus going to someone, you idiot, you fool, don't you even know how to do work? Can't you check an email before you send it? And I'm not saying, of course, people frustrate us. I'm not saying frustration is wrong. But what is it like? What is in line with your wish, with your goal? What gets you there? Going with a reaction or going with that awareness and understanding of what's actually happening for me right now? So I have spoken a lot. Personal well-being is a vast topic. I did not really plan for a specific thing I wanted to say. I just wanted to come on and see what comes through. So in summary, I would say we've spoken about needs, personal needs. We've spoken about leaning into all different parts of us that want different things. We've spoken about cultivating that gap and being curious about what's happening in our experience right now. I think at some level, everyone knows why all of this is important for personal well-being, but I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's any questions like, why the hell are we talking about this and not doing yoga? So happy to take questions. And I think we have 30 more minutes. And I invite anyone who wants to ask. I would love it if you actually came on video and unmuted yourself and asked. Otherwise, feel free to ask in the Q&A section. Sugandha, I see Kaustab Kunal has been raising his hand for very long, so maybe let's start.
I allow him to talk so he can, speak because he has a big. So I think it's better if he speaks.
Great.
Hi, Kaustab.
Hi, Ashmeet. Hi, Sugandha.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Ashmeet. So I have 2-3 questions which I think are all interlinked. I will just allow me for 2 minutes to speak.
Please.
So the kind of industry I'm in, like I'm into consulting, so it's a very demanding job, and you do have hectic work hours, so you tend to burn yourself out, right, at majority of the times. And this is not only your like physical taxing, but as well as like emotional and mental taxing as well, right? So on the basis of that, I want to ask, like how's our like physical health and mental health like interlinked? Like for example, if I'm working out, and how does it impact my mental health first? Second, like as you have mentioned initially while your address note, that you have a business which is into organic food, right? Now I remember I read somewhere that about like your food habits, like you are what you eat, right? And at the same time, your diet and what you're consuming has a big and very huge impact on your overall health and your body. So I want to know that how and what changes and what impact consuming organic food has like have on our body, and like how does it lower, or like what kind of effect it has on our stress levels. So these are the two questions which I wanted to ask, and I think these are interlinked, so that's why I asked it at one go. Thank you.
Thanks, Costa. Great questions. So the first question is the relationship between physical and mental health. I am so one is, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not qualified in a way. I haven't studied psychology or physical fitness. So I can only talk from my personal experience. And yes, the two are linked, but I think not necessarily in the way that we understand. So just the fact that I go to the gym 5 times a week or I run 4 times a week doesn't mean that I'm going to be mentally fit. And similarly, just the fact that I take care of my mental health a lot doesn't mean that automatically I'm going to be physically fit. In the sense, doesn't mean that I spend time on being happy and content and I meditate every day. Doesn't mean I'm suddenly going to be motivated to eat really well, to exercise all the time. I can still be overweight. Is there a link? I'm sure there's a link. When classic, right? Simplest example. What's happening to my mental well-being when I'm very hungry? When I have not taken care of my hunger, what happens? That's why there's the term hangry, right? He's hungry. He's angry because he's hungry. Everyone in this world is irritable when they're hungry. Similarly, like there's so much evidence now on how trauma is stored in our body. So anytime we've gone through a traumatic incident, trauma doesn't mean that it's very dark something we've gone through. But trauma can be like, I was 5 years old trying to sneak another scoop of ice cream and my mother really yelled at me at that point. So that was trauma for me then. Right? And similarly, I was running and I fell even when I was 30 years old and I really hurt my knee, and somewhere that's traumatized me. And this gets stored in our body, and also in terms of sort of how we walk, how we sit, our body language, our posture, everything. So our body has it. There's memory of that still in our body. You hear of so many people who say that when I started doing yoga, I would go, and anytime I was doing a lot of stretches, and I've particularly heard these for people who say when I was doing hip stretches, I would start crying. Hasn't happened to me. So this is all experiences I've heard from other people. Or I know when I'm feeling very sad, I often feel it in my stomach. So have I actually ever paid attention to what is a feeling? A feeling is nothing but actually something in my body. So isn't there a link between my mental and my physical health? Feeling that in my stomach. Language is so intelligent, right? we'll say it's a burden on my shoulders. In Hindi, we'll say mere kandhe pe bojh hai, because physically we actually feel it as a weight on our shoulders. There's also, these things might sound gimmicky or fluffy, but there is something to them. Look at them. Look at yourself in the mirror and smile for 30 seconds, and does that not change how you feel? So there is this cycle, right? And now I don't know how to connect it for you, Kaustav. It's very hard to just do it with one question and not have a back and forth. But yeah, jobs can be stressful. And I'm sure when you're, doing 12, 14, 15 hours of work every day for 7 days straight, there is an impact on your physical fitness as well. Obviously there is, right? You're sitting all day. It's taxing and it's a confusing situation. It's like, I don't know, I don't know you, but maybe part of you is like, do I really want this life? Another part is like, well, I really want to be MD. I want to be a partner one day. And there is no way to get there other than the grind. And the other was like, yeah, is that really what you want? It's like, no, I don't want it. And there's this constant conflict. And unfortunately, there are no easy answers. And the answer has to be found by yourself, right? Now, I prescribe to obviously one school of thought, which is not like, I would never put myself through that. Right? I do not have aspirations which need me to slog like that for a decade. But someone who does is not wrong. That's my work. To be like, yeah, my way is not the right way or the best way or the better way. To each their own, right? So recently I actually had a client, which actually I found challenging. This client's aim is to be partner. And he's saying the work I want to do with you is basically to stop myself from giving in to these other voices and just say what I want is to be partner. So suck it up and put in the hard work and stop complaining. Now, it was very rewarding for me to work with this person. But initially, the first couple of times in our conversations, I felt, a bit funny. I was like, this is not what I believe. So how can I help this person? But in the end, I'm not giving answers, right? And that's not what coaching is really, right? It's more about, can I just give the person 100% space to find what's right for him or her? So I would say, what would it take for you to connect with what is right for you? If a part of you, personal example, right? It's not very exactly what you're asking, but here, so 5-ish years into running my company, I was sort of at the peak of my burnout. Now, I think I've heard this in many stories, but typically it has to get so bad that then you sort of have no option but to rethink everything and focus on your well-being, etc. And that's what happened to me, right? It was getting to a point where it never got very bad, but I was starting to have a panic attack once in a while. And that's when, so someone I knew who I used to share what was going on with me quite regularly, in that conversation sort of it came up, and from there it was like a turning point where I was like, okay, fine, and I need to work on this. And in a few months, what actually happened is I was like, okay, fine, I need to take one day in the week where I don't go to the office. So I decided every Wednesday became an Ashmeet day for me. I was like, I'm home, I'm locked in my room, I'm doing what feels good for me today. And I was great for a week or two. After that, I was like, yeah, I love this, I'm doing this, I'm staying at home every Wednesday. But there was a big sense of guilt. Right? And the guilt was that here I am with this luxury, being the CEO, being the founder, to just sit at home when I want to. Like, I'm not answerable to anyone. But I have this expectation from my team that they should be in the office 5 days a week. They should do everything. They can't take these breaks. So there was this immense sense of guilt. That look at me, leader of the company, taking the day out. And it took me a few months, it took me a few months to complete with that, to be like, actually, part of me, again, my conditioning says this is not okay, this is not hard work. You're being a loser, you're not being a good leader. But if my goal is to create a successful company, can I actually create that in the state that I'm in right now? Like, no way. I'm actually creating quite a miserable culture right now because I am an angry guy at work. Doing this, taking this one day out is making me better. I'm not irritable. I'm more grounded. I have more capacity for people. I have better problem-solving skills. So actually, it's not intuitive. It's not aligned with my conditioning or not just my society's conditioning, but that's what was needed. I believe I don't need you to agree with me, right? That's what was needed for me. My decision to leave my company last year, leave in the sense, get out of a full-time role, it was aligned for me because I knew that I didn't want to run a business anymore. I was finding a lot of joy working with people in this space of coaching, learning, development, self-actualization, call it whatever, but helping people get clear about what is it that they want and taking steps towards realizing that and taking steps towards becoming the kind of people they need to become in order to get there. And that's really actually what was very fulfilling for me, continues to be, is just facilitating insight for people. I'm not giving any answers. It's literally, if I can give you 60 minutes of space, 90 minutes of space for you to get some clarity, connect with what's going on for you, that gives it meaning for me. It's not as selfless as it sounds because in the end, I feel good about myself. But most people, if I genuinely ask you, do you think I did the right thing or not? By leaving my company when organic industry was starting to actually grow quite rapidly in India. There's a lot going right, and I decided to take a back seat. Most people would say, no, you did the wrong thing. But it doesn't bother me because I know it was right for me. It's like, if you tell me, Ashmeet, you have yellow hair, it won't affect me because I'm 100% secure in the fact that I have black hair. But if a friend of mine comes and says to me, Ashmeet, you're not a very good friend, that's gonna create an ouch in me, right? Because part of me is also insecure, like, am I a good friend? So this decision I took, at this point, this was my decision, this was the right decision. So no matter what anyone says, it doesn't affect me anymore. So I sort of went off a tangent there. But the message really is, Kaustubh, that what is right for you? Maybe it is to continue being in that job. And maybe then you're at peace. Yes, I know by doing this, I'm sacrificing my physical health. But I have chosen that. Yeah, like, yes, nothing right or wrong, nothing black and white, everything's gray. Perfect. And organic food, again, it's not a one size fits all. It's not one thing fixing everything. Organic food has been a big part of my journey. Someone can be very, very unfit and also mentally unfit eating organic food. But it's one of the components. So the food you put in you, the thoughts you think, and maybe some other things, the people you associate with, how you nourish your soul, your spiritual side, all these things I think are components of well-being. For me, what is aligned with my value system is as simple as that. If I'm listening to my body, coming back to that point, when I see a chemical factory and the fumes coming out of their chimneys, when I go to a shop to buy seeds and I see pesticides with hazard signs on them, just when I generally see the kind of havoc they're creating on the environment, how do I feel in my body? I feel like shit in my body. So actually it's against my values to be doing this to the earth. And I think it's largely against every human, if they fully connect, no one's going to say that I see pollution and I jump with joy. So if that is my value, what is it that I'm doing to live in alignment I read this great thing scribbled in my notes somewhere. I don't know where it's from. This was a definition of hell. I don't have it on me right now, so I'll try my best to say it well. So hell is in the last moments of your life, when you're taking your last breath, the version of you that's lived life in full alignment with his or her values walks into the room. So your highest potential self that's lived in alignment with their own truth, walks into the room. And the gap between you and that person, that's what hell is. So organic food for me really is just in alignment with who I am. It aligns with my values. I'm also vegan. Why? It aligns with my values. I can also have debates and discussions about the fact that it is real food for humans. It's food. I don't have protein deficiencies. I have everything I need to be healthy. But regardless of that, I value compassion. And when I know what the animal industry is built on, how it works, and that's all thanks to my organic food business. I wouldn't have had that visibility if it weren't for actually seeing how food is actually getting on our plates. I can't eat it anymore. So it's just a simple of what is aligned with my values. I'm not here to sort of say everyone should eat organic, everyone should be vegan. What feels right for you? Thanks for that question.
Great. So, Anju Singh asked, how can we explain this to ourselves that it is okay to be a poor performer at time when reputation holds a highest weightage, and due this rigid attitude towards our own selves leads to a consistent cycle of performance?
So how do we explain to ourselves that it's okay to be a poor performer at times? Well, Anju, would you mind unmuting yourself? Because I have a follow-up question for you.
Hi Ashmeet, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. So why is it not okay to be a poor performer sometimes?
Actually, the thing is, at times in life, we are on a peak of performance, right? Sometimes when we see a dip in the performance, we took it on our reputation, right? So when we took it on our reputations, we somehow inbuilt a fear within ourselves that what people will say if we don't perform, and this eventually ends up into a cycle of poor performances. So as you rightly said that there is an inner voice. I literally feel that there is an inner voice which always restricts you. Like you start with a pace, that inner voice is with you and they say, yes, you can do it. But when you are near submission of the task, that inner voice, you cannot hear it anymore. The fear is talking on a louder decibel. That what if there is an error? What if you made a mistake? What will be the performance? So these things, at times fear is overshadowing that inner voice. How can we practice so that the inner voice always talks in a louder decibel? I think you're getting my question or wrong.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So now if we were in a conversation, there would be a lot of back and forth here, but this is just a Q&A. So I'll tell you what my understanding is, right? You said it very rightly. In the end, we care too much about what other people think. What is reputation? What others think of me? So actually I am seeking to fill a void in me through external validation. And there's nothing wrong with that because that is how we are as humans. So I think we take a lot of these things negatively. This thing about inner void and feeling it through materialism and blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, we do that because the thing is the human condition is such where we have this in us. So what is it like to just accept that? So what if I accepted the fact that yes, I am doing this for validation. I need to see validation around me to feel worthy. Or there's a part of me which doesn't feel worthy. And again, I'm not, as I've been saying a few times, I'm not sort of here to say that this is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. It's about what's right for me. My experience, again, I'm not trying to sell the answer to you. I'm just saying, try it, be curious, experiment with it. If I just stay with connecting that, okay, fine, this is happening. If I, for 30 seconds, can I leave this thing of what do I do? I have immense fear in me right now. I worry that people will point fingers and blame me. I will not be respected. And a part of me feels really scared right now. What shifts? I know something shifts. I know that from personal experience. Something shifts. And really, that's what would it be like if I started doing whatever I was doing just for the sake of doing it? Not for the sake of results. Anju, curious to hear what's alive in you right now after what I've said.
Okay, so as you said that just programming the mind that you are looking for validation or whether you're doing it for yourself, right?
Programming your mind in that language, I still hear some being hard on yourself. At least that's how I hear it. I could be wrong.
No, I actually meant that. So because
Yes.
we are in such a society that whatever we do, we look for just, you put up a question, I think sometime back, and I have answered this, like why we are looking for respect. I answered it like because we are looking for some love and admiration. So admiration is something which we are surrounding our lives upon. We just looking for others' admiration to what we do. We are looking for, we actually are, slaves of our own expectations.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I want admiration of others. Can I give it to myself as well? So the thing is like, yes, by all means, go out there and want admiration, appreciation, love of everyone out there. But can I, if that's what I want, can I just give it to myself also?
That's what my question is. How can I love my own self? Like,
many ways. Can I look at myself in the mirror? And I mean, some of you might laugh at all this, but again, try it. Don't reject it. Huh? Can I look? I would have laughed at this 5 years ago as well. Can I look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you? You're amazing. Can I write, I am amazing 20 times? Can I find reasons? What makes Anju amazing? Can I make a list of 20 things that makes Anju amazing? What makes Anju worthy of love? Can I find 10 reasons for myself? So you're talking about training your mind. This is how one could train their mind. I mean, these are very simple things that work for me. Anju wants some love right now. What can I do to make Anju feel loved right now? Can I, and when I'm saying I am, what I mean is like you talking to yourself, right? So what can I do to make myself feel loved right now? So can I call a friend or can I tell my partner that, hey, I just want to feel some love right now? Attitude of gratitude. Yeah. Shweta says, can I find what's there to be grateful for? In the end, someone was talking about the value of failure. So in actuality, we know that the only way we learn on this planet is through failure. Okay, so how did you learn to walk? By falling 100 times or 1,000 times. How did you learn to ride a bike? How do you learn anything? Life is a cruel teacher. I think Winston Churchill said this, I think. It gives you the test first and the lesson later. So actually the model of teaching and education we have is upside down. Life gives you the test first and the lesson comes later. So the only way we learn is through failure and mistakes. So should I not be grateful for my failures? So thank you for this opportunity to learn and become better. This is my path towards being more accomplished or towards excellence. There's no perfection. There's nothing perfect. But also everything is perfectly imperfect. So here's my failure. Here's something I've learned. There is no other way for me to have learned this. So does it not? Fine. Most of me resents it. Most of me is angry about it. But can I just say that, okay, there is also a little silver lining here? Can I just acknowledge that? Can 1% of me say thank you to however I've messed up right now, whatever mistake I've made?
Yes.
Slightly, don't mind my language. One of my mottos for myself in life is fuck up with joy. I'm not there right now, but that is my sort of, one of my goals is, can I actually be someone who laughs when he makes a mistake? Celebrates. Can I actually celebrate my mistakes? And in the end, again, what am I? How would my life change if I stopped? If I cared 10% less about what others thought of me? Not saying eliminate. If I 10% reduction in how much weightage I gave to opinion of others, how would my life change? There's something to reflect on. Happy to take a couple of more questions.
Sure. So Pawan Kumar asked, he wanted to know that we often experience stimulus of performing the best of everything, but subject to circumstances, we fail to realize that effort in delivering. How can we mentally be able to realize that extra effort we need to deliver our best?
So we want to do something, we really want it, we want the result, but somewhere we procrastinate. Somewhere we don't give it our all. I think that's how I hear it. You know, I was having 5-6 days ago, I was having a very lazy morning. I was like, I just don't feel like doing anything today. So that day I sort of just decided I'd just sit with my journal for a bit and just, that's one way I find when I put my thoughts down and it gets me focused and I'm able to really tune in. Otherwise, if I just sit, then my mind can go all over the place. So for insights, I like to journal. And there's something very nice, at least for me, that I came to that day, which was that laziness, again, I judge laziness as something bad, something I shouldn't have. That's something I need to do. I must not be doing enough exercise. I must not be drinking enough water. I must not be eating well. That's why my body is depleted. And maybe there is some merit to all that. But actually, I think of laziness as a bad thing. But is it a bad thing? Actually, is laziness not just an invitation to listen to myself? And I sound like a broken record at this point, but laziness is an invitation for me to listen to something I've been ignoring. So if a part of me doesn't want to do work today, it for sure has a reason why. There is something else it also wants. And again, it doesn't mean that by listening to that, I'll just get off track and not pursue my goal, but can I honor that? So maybe it's like, Ashmeet, you just haven't slept well last night. Or maybe this goal doesn't serve me anymore. Part of me is telling me that, when you made this plan 6 months ago, this is what you wanted, but something has shifted for you in life right now. And please listen. And finally, that listening only might help you inch closer to your goal. But generally, we don't listen because our mind is so set that now that's what I want, nothing else should distract me. But by all means, have goals, but what if I live every day also with curiosity? So that's my response. Like, that's what came up for me.
I think
nursing.
Yes,
please go ahead, nursing.
First of all, I do not have too much knowledge about the food industry. So if I will ask anything not related to food industry, please bear me.
Of course.
The organic, when you started unique concept of organic, there is a there was always chances of competitor, and not like a competitor, there is a confusion in the market that we are also supplying like one particular product, organic ghee, organic milk, or organic etc. So in that situation, for a startup or for a new businessman, how it means, how we can reject, or how much percentage we can tell that yes, this cannot be give a good competitor in a future, or sometimes sometimes this kind of ignorance can be a big competitor.
So what you're asking is that when we are planning to start a new business, what can we do to predict what kind of competition there might be?
Yeah, the first question is prediction of the competition, and parallelly there is not a fair competitor like third party, or you can consider as a too unwanted, sometimes some player comes in the market to kill the competition.
So how can we predict it, or how can we be prepared for it?
Prepared, yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so the prediction bit, obviously you can't, right? Today I'm starting this business, and tomorrow someone starts and like wipes away the market with like their deep pockets. There's no way for me to have predicted it. Like there's also no way for me to predict that I'll be very successful. I'll put in my effort, but I can't predict it. So I don't think there's any way of predicting. Actually, if you're doing something which you think is going to be a big business opportunity, then what you can predict for sure is, yes, there will be very tough competition because other people will want to pursue this as well. How can you be prepared for it? From a business standpoint, I'd just say, what you'd learn in business school. Like, what do they say, right? The most successful companies are the ones who always have the pulse on the needs of their customer. So, are you so aligned with the needs of the market and the customer that you keep yourself relevant? Or do you get attached to your idea and your solution? This is what I've created. This is my model. This is what my company does. And in that attachment, do you miss out on what the market dynamics have shifted to? Easier said than done, right? I am also very attached to the business model that my company operates. Now, having had this interaction, maybe I'll sit down for 5 minutes after this call and be like, okay, is there something I'm not listening to? Am I too attached to what we're doing? How we're servicing the market? Is there a better way? So, in short, I'd say that's the preparation. Like, actually, it's not a preparation. It's just being continuously what we're actually talking. Can I be curious every day? Here we're talking about not internal, but external. Can I just be, okay, what's going on today? What's this demographic wanting now? Is there a new demographic that's looking for something? Are they still looking for organic? Or is there something else? Are they looking for hydroponic now? So it's that, I'd say. To answer, was that a good answer for you?
Yes.
Okay.
The second question related to this, there is always in any kind of business, there is a competition, and there is a fair competition, and there is some player comes to just try the market. So in that means my preparation, my preparation is for 2 years or 5 years. For a short period of time, for just coming a picture, a new player. So should we consider that this can be the competitor, or we should focus in our only mission? I'm repeating once more.
I would say, why not both? Like, yes, there's no way for you to predict this person who's come in today, if this person is going to stay for 1 week, 1 year, or 10 years. How can you predict that today? You can't, right? But yeah, I've seen in the organic business, so many people came in and within 3 months they shut shop, within 6 months, within 1 year. But I didn't know that, right? The day they came, they were competition for me. It is not that I was suddenly like competition, guard on, attack. That wasn't happening. But if I was to classify them, they would be in my competitor bucket. And I don't know whether they will last for 1 month, 1 year, or 10 years. So I would say both those things, right? Being prepared. Yes, being prepared that, there's more competition for me. Why not? And at the same time, well, this is a big market. I'm going to stick to my mission. This is what I'm doing. And what if there's space for, you're not looking to create a monopoly, presumably, I think. So there will be other competition. So am I so clear on what is it that I do in this space that no one can do better than me? So that's that whole thing, right? Unique selling proposition, value proposition, business model, this, that. So both things are true.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Narsingh. Ashmeet, can we take one more question?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So Sadbir asked how to evaluate the individual performance, either on the terms of financial success or measurable value of success, or how can we evaluate the knowledge or learning from the failure?
Okay, I think it'll be helpful if Sadbir actually asked on audio. How to evaluate the individual performance either on the terms of financial success or measurable value of success, or how can we evaluate the knowledge? Yes, go for it, Sadbir.
Hi, Ashmeet. How are you?
Good.
Okay. Good afternoon from my part of the world. So, what I was asking you is, whenever you start any new venture or business or any of the entities, at the end of the day, you have to evaluate yourself, like whether you have succeeded in that venture or you have failed in that venture.
Yes.
Like there are two valuation methods we can use it, like either on the balance sheet, like financial balance sheets, or maybe how the share prices has gone up or not, or what is the valuation at the end of the business when you are closing it down. Or second way is like to somehow give a boost to yourself, that even if it is a failure in that business, even if your balance sheet is in the negative side, but what you have learned in whole last 4 or 5 years or 10 years is that you have learned everything in and out of that business, how to take a risk, how well you can prepare in the next ventures or in the future. These are the common things, like what you learn from the business after taking a risk. But these values cannot be identified in terms of a balance sheet or anything.
Of course, completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So
how we are going to differentiate, or how you are going to calm down yourself basically at the end of the business?
Yeah. So great question. Of course, by everything I was saying earlier, conditioning, success, this, that, whatever. Yes, all that's true. But what's also true is in the world we live, success is defined by numbers. And that drives us also. So when I'm planning a business, obviously I'll say, my goal is to create 100 crore business in 5 years, or whatever it might be. So for someone, it might be 10 lakh business in 5 years. But that is my goal. In the traditional sense, if I don't meet that goal, I'll say, it's not succeeded. So on one level, I am saying that these parameters are what determine success or not. Now, let me ask you, Sadbir, do you actually control the outcome? So you set the goal, but do you control the outcome? Is it up to you?
This question which I asked you is basically from my personal experience itself. Like the way you have left your job and started the business in the organic farming and all. Similar way, when I was working in one of the company, all of a sudden I take an idea of opening a restaurant in the world where I don't know anybody. I don't have the PR relationship, as well as I don't know how I'm going to manage it, because I didn't have the experience of that one. So I run that one for almost like 3-4 years. And after that, all of a sudden, I decided, let me quit it. I'm done with this. So I quit it. Maybe if I seriously check the balance sheet, maybe I may be in the little bit negative side or on the positive side. But the learning from that business was huge for me. But whenever I discuss this with anybody else, people's way of thinking or way of taking the business is different from how I'm taking that business. Because what I have taken is as I didn't know anything about the restaurant, but I learned now. I learned how to manage the kitchen, how to even start the kitchen from the scratch, from an open, you could say a property, how to make it an open property to a restaurant itself, and how to manage the customers. And managing the customer doesn't mean the customer who are walking. Basically, the managing the customers like high commissions of almost like 40 or 45 of the countries. So these are the kind of exposure I got it, which I couldn't get it even if I was able to continue my job. So that kind of experience, when I consider it, is good for me.
Yeah, so you're saying there's some invaluable other things you've gained from this which are invaluable, right? Like MasterCard. Priceless. But if you look at the financial part, then it was not a success, it was a failure. One framework which I really like, Sadhbir, there's success and then there's success beyond success. Success is my financial goals, how many customers, blah, blah, blah. What is success? And my question to you earlier was, could you have controlled this? I take action based on my best judgment, but actually what happens in the market, what competition comes in, what happens generally to people's mindsets, that's a very macro level thing. I can't control that. So I take my action, but the outcome is not up to me. Anything can happen. Tomorrow there can be COVID and no one goes to the restaurant again. Right? So that success is conditional. Success is, I can't control success. I want it, I take my action, but I can't control it. So success is conditional. The only thing that's unconditional, that I can control, is how I am. Right? Is am I acting from my values? Am I living in integrity? Am I living in responsibility? Am I living by the values that I cherish in others? Right? So I want to be very honest. Honesty is my virtue, but actually when I do business, I think of short term and I end up doing some not so honest things. 10 years later, when I look back, it probably pinches me because I know I did not live by my values. So success beyond success is what you can control. Am I living in integrity? Am I doing stuff with integrity in line with my values? That is not something anyone can take away from me. And actually, if I truly lived by my values, then no matter what happened to my company, I can look back with contentment because I know I did everything that I could in line with what I believe is right.
Okay.
Right?
You're right.
So, and part of that is like, I really value learning. Now, did I approach this with a learner's mindset? You are saying that you are able to look back at all the learnings, etc., with a lot of gratitude. Somebody else might not be. So actually, I'd say congratulations, right? Because you're embodying that. If you're able to look back at your failure with contentment, you've done something well. So don't doubt that. Don't let others' definition of success and failure and blah 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 create self-doubt for you because you are content with whatever's happened. So congratulations.
Thank you. So that was my question for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sadhbir. We'll just take up one last question, Ashmeet.
Sure, happy to.
Surinder asked how to handle a complex situation where we want to explain some complex ideas and thoughts in a much more deliverable way at the same time to an impatient person, how to deliver it more effectively.
So communicating effectively when there are complex ideas.
Yeah.
Hard to give a general answer, but happy to, whoever asked this question wants to share what the situation is, I'm happy to give more.
Hello.
Surendra,
Hi.
Yeah.
Surendra,
Yes.
hi.
Sir, I was having this question because in my regular life I have experienced this thing in the businesses as well. So as you are the entrepreneur, you might have also experienced the same thing while dealing with the client to tell about our views and ideas. So I just wanted to know that how to handle.
What's a very complex view that you have that you think is hard to explain? Tell me, what is a complex view? Give me an
Complex view
example.
means there are too many important facts and knowledgeable things, but that person is not ready to listen that. He just want to grab up the short highlighted points. Just he doesn't want to listen the whole view, the whole scenario.
So you're saying you're sort of in conflict with the person and you want to put forward some facts
Yes.
and the person's not willing to listen.
Yes. About our situations and how we are dealing with. So how we will express our views to him.
See, if the person on the other side is not willing to listen, I don't think there's not much that can be done.
Yes.
Right? If I'm not willing to listen to you, I don't think there's anything you can do. I have my free will. So if I'm not willing to listen, if I choose to continue interjecting you, there's not much you can do to make me listen to you, is there?
Okay.
But at the same time, if it's important, so I would say if there's someone, if Sugandha's on the other side, I'm like, shit, I keep trying to tell her something, she keeps interrupting me, doesn't give me even 20 seconds to speak.
Yeah.
So I can't control it, but if it's very important to me, I can be like, okay, what is one way? Now, one way for me, when I go to another, I think as human beings, if someone comes to us with a genuine problem, we want to listen and we want to help, typically. Sometimes stakes can be very high, it can be very complicated. As an example, if I go to Sugandha and say, Sugandha, you're a very rude person.
Yeah.
What happens?
She will feel bad.
She will probably say something nasty back to me.
Yes.
She will hang up on me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, instead of that, I go to Sugandha and say, Sugandha, I've been trying to talk to you about something the last couple of weeks, but I just haven't had the opportunity to. I haven't had the space to really explain myself to you. Now, if that's actually happened, Sugandha will say, yeah, okay, fine. Like, she's not going to get defensive. Sugandha, will you get defensive if I said that to you? No. So, going with my problems and going with facts. So saying, Sugandha, you're rude, that's my interpretation. That's not a fact. Every person in the world who knows Sugandha will not say Sugandha is a rude person. And Sugandha, I'm sorry, I don't think you're rude. It's just an example. But if I said, Sugandha, yesterday on our call, I was trying to explain myself and you hung up, you kind of yelled at me and you hung up on me. And that made me feel really made me feel hurt. Can she say anything? Like, then what? Okay, yes, she'll say, yes, this happened. She'll probably say, I'm sorry. She might also say, yeah, but you were being really annoying. You were being very aggressive with me. I didn't want to listen to you. And I can say, okay, fine. If that was what your experience was, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry you felt I was being aggressive. That was not my intention, but I'm really genuinely sorry. But I really want us to be able to resolve this. Is that something you want to? Likely she'll say, yeah, I would also want to resolve this. So, sorry, I forget the name of the person who was asking. Surendra. So it's very hard to sort of say what to do and how to handle it without knowing the specifics of the situation. But the main thing is, can I separate fact from judgment? You are rude is a judgment. It's not a universal truth that Sugandha is rude. Yes. Sugandha hung up on me yesterday. That is true. She can't deny it. So can I go with facts? Can I go with intention? What is it that I'm looking for? I want us to be able to resolve and move past this. Do you want it too? Okay, so then are we both aligned? Okay, so then we have an agreement that today's conversation is about finding a way forward. Now, what do I need to find? What do I need to be able to find a way forward? I really need to get your undivided attention so I can really explain myself to you without interruptions. Are you willing to give that to me? Yes, you're willing to give that to me. Okay, you're willing to give it to me. So if you interrupt me, can I remind you that you have committed to me that you let me speak uninterrupted? Okay, fine. I give you the authority to correct me if I don't abide by my commitment. So any situation, I think, with, I don't want to say strategic because that makes it feel kind of like conniving, but with skillful communication, I think that's the better word. Skillful communication, compassion, curiosity, I think any situation can be tackled.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Good. Unfortunately, I will have to get going. I really enjoyed this though. I saw some people have asked for how to have more conversations. Happy to take questions on email. I can type it out here. You'll have to put up with some, I won't be very prompt necessarily, but I will try and address what I can. I do this work professionally, so if anyone thinks that they would benefit from a session, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd also say my website is ashmeetkapoor.com. You can get in touch through that or through email. Don't let my rates on the website be an inhibition, because I typically work on a model that makes it accessible for whoever needs it. Time dependent, of course, if I have availability. So don't let the rates, because I understand a lot of you are students. For students, I always have discounted rates. So feel free to reach out. And this was a pleasure, Sugandha. Thank you for inviting me. I had a great time.
Thank you, Ashmeet. Thank you so much for the session today. I'm sure it will help a lot of our learners as well. And thanks to all the learners as well for attending the session. Questions, and we will see you again next week. Stay safe, everyone, and have a happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.